Most men will never hear this, and the ones who need it most will resist it the hardest. You want to know what separates a man who commands respect from a man who constantly chases it? It is not his body. It is not his money. It is not his status. It is one thing, and one thing only. The ability to sit inside the fire and not burn. To feel the full weight of anger, disappointment, and pressure, and remain completely still. A weak man reacts to everything. A strong man observes, stays calm, stays in control. That single difference between reacting and responding is the difference between a man who is led by life and a man who leads himself through it. This is not motivational noise. This is not hype. What you are about to hear is colder than that. It is quieter than that. And because of that, it is far more dangerous. Sit with it. Look around you. Look at how men move through the world today. Watch how quickly they are provoked. Watch how easily they break. A single comment online sends a grown man into a spiral of rage. A woman's rejection turns a man bitter for months. A moment of failure becomes an identity. A disagreement becomes a war. Everywhere you look, men are leaking. Leaking anger, leaking insecurity, leaking ego through every crack in their composure. And what is the result? Chaos, broken decisions, broken relationships. A permanent state of reaction with no space for thought, no space for clarity, no space for actual power. Here is the first truth you must accept. Emotional reactivity is not passion. It is not strength. It is not proof that you care deeply. Emotional reactivity is the absence of discipline. It is what happens when a man has not yet learned to govern the one territory that matters more than any external achievement: himself. Society has not helped. In fact, society has trained you systematically to react. Every platform you use is engineered to pull a reaction from you within seconds. Outrage, fear, comparison, validation. The algorithm does not reward the man who thinks slowly and moves deliberately. It rewards the man who responds instantly, emotionally, loudly. And so, without realizing it, millions of men have been conditioned to operate at the speed of impulse, not at the speed of wisdom. You scroll and you feel angry. You hear an opinion and you feel attacked. You sense disrespect and you feel a burning need to retaliate immediately. To prove something, to win something, to make the feeling stop as quickly as possible. But here is what no one tells you. The moment you react from emotion, you have already lost. Not the argument, not the situation. You have lost control of yourself. And a man who cannot control himself cannot control anything. This is where Stoicism enters. And I need you to understand what Stoicism actually is, because it has been misunderstood and diluted into something weak. Stoicism is not suppression. It is not pretending you feel nothing. It is not building a cold wall around yourself and calling that strength. A stoic man feels everything. He feels the anger rise. He feels the sting of betrayal. He feels the pressure of failure. He feels it completely. And then he decides what to do with it. That decision, that space between feeling and action, is where real masculinity lives. The Stoics called it the pause. That single breath between stimulus and response. Marcus Aurelius, who governed an empire, led armies and buried his children, wrote about this pause constantly. Not as philosophy, as survival. He understood that the man who loses his composure under pressure makes decisions that cost him everything. And the man who stays grounded in silence, in clarity, in calm, that man shapes outcomes. You do not need to have read the meditations to understand this. You have felt it in your own life. Think of a time you reacted too quickly. In anger, in panic, in ego. Think of what it cost you. The words you cannot take back. The decision you made in heat that you would never make in calm. The relationship you damaged because you needed to be right more than you needed to be wise. That cost was the price of emotional weakness. And you paid it. Not because you are a bad person, but because no one taught you to pause. Now think of the opposite. Think of the man you respect most in your life. Not the loudest man, not the most aggressive, but the man whose presence carries weight. Watch how he moves. Watch how he listens before he speaks. Watch how he does not need to fill every silence with his opinion. Watch how when things go wrong, he does not spiral, he adjusts. He does not perform emotion for an audience. He processes it privately, and he acts from a place of groundedness. That man is not lucky. That man has done the work of governing himself. That is the man this monologue is building toward. Let us talk about anger, because anger is the emotion that destroys the most men. Anger itself is not the enemy. Anger is information. It tells you that something has violated your values. Something has crossed a line. Something matters enough to you that your body is preparing to defend it. That is useful. That is human. But uncontrolled anger is a fire in your own house. It burns everything around you while the thing that provoked it walks away untouched. When you lose your temper, you reveal your vulnerabilities. You show people exactly what they can use against you. You prove to the room that you can be moved, manipulated, destabilized by a simple provocation. And the world is full of people who will learn this about you and use it. Every time you react to a comment with rage, you have handed power to the person who made it. Every time you allow impatience to override your judgment, you have handed power to the situation. Real strength is not explosive. Real strength is implosive, contained, concentrated, controlled. The disciplined man hears the insult and lets it land. He does not absorb it as truth. He does not immediately swing back. He sits with it. He evaluates it with cold eyes. Is there truth in it? Then he takes it. It is free information to improve. Is there no truth in it? Then it is simply noise from someone who does not matter enough to disturb his peace. Either way, he wins. The undisciplined man hears the same insult and immediately sets himself on fire trying to put out someone else's match. Think about two men, same situation, same pressure, same provocation. The first man feels the pressure and immediately externalizes it. He raises his voice. He makes it someone else's fault. He talks about it to anyone who will listen, leaking his anxiety into every room he enters. He makes fast, reactive decisions to relieve the discomfort. He picks fights to feel like he has some control. He goes home and cannot sleep. He wakes up still carrying it. He performs strength for others while privately falling apart. 6 months later, the situation is worse, and he does not understand why. The second man feels the same pressure, and you can see it on his face, just for a moment. A slight tightening, a moment of wait. Then he breathes. He does not speak until he is ready to speak with precision. He asks himself, what is actually in my control here? He separates the noise from the signal. He makes one deliberate decision and then another. He does not waste energy on what he cannot change. He does not perform composure. He has composure. 6 months later, he has moved through the situation and something in him has become harder, quieter, and more anchored. Both men felt the same pressure. One was governed by his emotions. One governed his emotions. That is the entire game. Let us talk about silence, because modern culture has taught men to fear it, to fill it, to perform constantly in order to prove their presence. But silence, real, intentional, unafraid silence, is one of the most powerful tools a man can develop. The man who can sit in a difficult conversation and say nothing, who can hear a provocation and simply look at it with calm eyes and choose not to respond. That man holds a kind of power that the room cannot prepare for. Silence is not absence. It is control made visible. It communicates without words that you are not afraid, that you are not desperate, that you are thinking clearly while everyone else is reacting emotionally. People will project onto your silence. They will feel its weight, and in that weight, they will often reveal exactly who they are, while you have revealed nothing. Discipline is not what you do when things are easy. Any man can hold his composure on a calm day, surrounded by people who respect him, with everything going his way. Discipline is what you do when you are humiliated in public. When you are betrayed by someone you trusted. When the plan falls apart. When the silence around you feels like failure. That is when your true level of emotional development reveals itself. Not in the peaceful moments. In the storm. The Stoics believed that every difficulty was a teacher, not a punishment, not a mistake in the design of your life. A teacher. And the curriculum was always the same. Who are you when it costs you something to be yourself? Who are you when staying calm is inconvenient? Who are you when no one is watching to applaud the self-control? The man you are in those moments is your actual character. Everything else is performance. Real masculinity, not the performance of it, not the aesthetic of it, but the actual lived experience of it, is built on self-mastery. Not on how much you can lift or how many people fear you or how loudly you can dominate a room. It is built on whether you can be trusted to remain yourself under pressure. Whether you can be the calmest man in the hardest room. Whether you can hear news that breaks your heart and still think clearly about what to do next. Whether you can be wronged and not become the wrong that was done to you. That is the work. It is quiet. It is daily. It requires more courage than any aggression. Because aggression is easy. Reaction is easy. Rage is easy. It takes nothing to explode. It takes everything to remain still. So here is what I am asking of you. Not to become cold. Not to become a machine. Not to bury what you feel beneath a surface of performed control. I am asking you to become disciplined. To decide from this moment that your emotional responses belong to you. That no one outside of you has the authority to destabilize what is inside you without your permission. That the next time anger rises, you will pause before you speak. That the next time you feel the pull of insecurity, you will sit with it instead of performing confidence. That the next time pressure arrives, you will breathe before you decide. Because the man you are becoming does not need to announce himself. His calm announces him. His steadiness speaks before he does. His clarity is felt in every room he enters. He does not need to prove anything, because everything he has built in private is visible in how he moves, how he speaks, how he handles what breaks other men. Become that man. Not tomorrow. Begin the practice today. In the next conversation. In the next moment of pressure. In the next silence you resist filling. In the next anger you choose to feel without acting from. One pause at a time. One deliberate breath at a time. One decision at a time. Calm is not weakness. Calm is the evidence of a man who has already won the war inside himself. And men who win that war win everything else quietly. If this reached something in you, if you felt the weight of these words and recognized the man you are becoming, then leave one comment below. Just 2 words. Calm is power.